All right, and hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Signs of Life podcast, the official Speed Pro East Bay podcast. I'm here with our lead installer, Mr. Louie, and he's going to tell us today a little bit about vinyl and the magic and miracles and all the amazing things that vinyl can do. So, my first question, Louie, first say hello.
Hello, everybody.
There's Louie. So, first question, Louis, what is vinyl? Because when I started working here, it was only been a little over a year now. I had only ever heard of vinyl in one sense, and that was a vinyl record. So when I got here, and I see that we had like this vinyl, that we make banners out of and decals out of, I was like, oh, this is a whole new world of vinyl. So what is the vinyl?
So vinyl is a plastic, PVC plastic, and it's used to make all sorts of stuff. Like from records are made of vinyl. You can make softer stuff with it, but the vinyl that we use is a self-adhesive vinyl film, which consists of multiple layers, one of them being plastic, another layer would be the adhesive, and another layer would be the ink that's printed on to the vinyl.
Right. And then so here in the signage world, we use vinyl a lot for doing decals on windows and cars, boats. We print, large we can print like large portions of it for wrapping cars and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Tell us about some of that's one that, like, to me, the more interesting part is when you're using vinyl to wrap a car, and you've done some really cool car. Why don't you, like, talk about the Chevron car? That was a bit of a challenge of a vinyl wrap.
Well, yeah, that was a 2016 Mustang, I believe, and that was interesting. It was a lot of curves, a lot of angles, especially around like the front of the vehicle. Um, and yeah, that was a tough one.
And when doing wrapping a vehicle, seeing, like, also you just can't say I need a vinyl wrap. You have to, like, in our world it's IJ 180, right? That's the vinyl we use mostly for cars because it's good
Yeah,
for wrapping going around curves and edge because of the other material it's not as forgiving. So there's different variations of all this vinyl wrapping, right? So like what like talk about like the IJ 180 vinyl wrap, like why is it would you wrap that on a car versus like putting that on a wall?
well, IJ 180 is a 3M product and it's really versatile. So you can put that on pretty much anything that you want. Um, from walls, windows, concrete, anything like that. But it's one of the better materials for cars just because of its conformability. You could stretch it, you can shrink it even a little bit. You apply the heat, right?
Right.
And it sticks really well, especially on contours and curves.
And so a lot of times we do or I get calls of people, they have an older make model car and the paint's fading and they think they have the idea of wrapping the car instead of getting a new paint job. We've done that before, but I know, like, it's not always
Yeah.
recommended, right?
Vinyl wrap on vehicles is intended to be on a factory coat of paint that has no damage or defects on it. So really, that means brand new paint. Now you can, like Zach said, you can wrap the um, damaged areas if you want to, but you can't, we're not able to warranty that for any amount of time. And then the real danger is, especially upon, it's likely that some of the damaged paint is going to come off with the vinyl. And the vinyl does have to come off at some point.
Yeah, because it is going to weather and it doesn't last, permanently, right?
Yeah. Personally, I'm the type of guy that, doing the vinyl wraps, I have the experience to know that if you just want to change the color of your car, vinyl wrap is not always the way to go.
Right.
It's kind of more when you want to do some cool effects or you want branding or something besides just changing the color because a wrap can be almost as expensive as a new paint job. And a new paint job will last you 20 years as opposed to 8 years or so.
So mainly, so it's like cut vinyl is better for doing it on vehicles, and not so much wrapping the whole car. Like just doing it for like you said, like company cars, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, and there's stuff you can do with vinyl. Like, I'm not saying full wraps are completely pointless. There's stuff like translucent films or color changing films that have effects that you just can't do with paint. And then obviously you can get custom printed vinyl too. So my point there more was if you want just solid color that is easy to do with paint, you might be better off just going with paint.
Right. Now, when it was that special speedboat that you did the whole wrap in because they wanted it to the a special color of red to match the interior red, right? And we did a whole color matching process with the
Yeah.
client. It took a while for him to just pick that red, but that was where it was benefited more than paint, correct?
Well, yeah, especially for that project specifically, that was an electric hydrofoil boat that was being rented for a photo shoot by a fashion magazine. And so obviously it's going to be a temporary thing.
Right.
So they needed at the end of, the week or whatever, however long they were doing the shoot for, the vinyl had to come off and they just wanted their normal color back at the end.
Right. And that's a lot of times we have people that want to wrap things for like events or conventions, special things going on for marketing reasons. And then after that, it needs to be removed. Like for me, I had a client that sewing machines and they were going to be at an expo and showing off their sewing machines. And you had to go and wrap their sewing machine parts.
That was not something I'd ever done before, but it turned out really great. I mean, especially for a 1 day event, like, I don't know, sewing machine is something that gets used a lot. So over time, a wrap, it could fail in certain places, but for a 1 day event, it looked great.
And the benefit there was it could be taken apart, right? So it was
Yeah.
easier to wrap. You didn't have to like keep it wasn't one solid thing with all these curves that you had to work around like
Well,
the
they were supposed to take it apart for me. When I got there, they didn't have anyone who could do that. So we just wrapped it in
oh,
place.
you wrapped it in place. I thought you
Yeah.
wrapped it in parts. Okay. So you were able to do that. And then you also have wrapped a robot since I've been working here. That was pretty cool as well. A
Yeah,
little more challenging though.
humanoid robots. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, we didn't really get to see the final product because they took the body panels off and they just brought it to us in pieces and we just wrapped each one individually. So I kind of wish I had got to see the full robot
Right.
once it was together, but
So that's like the really cool part is like, if you have a business and you're just trying to start up, you need to get your brand, your logo out there, you can just wrap random objects in whatever graphics or your logo and just smack it on anything. That's kind of the beauty of vinyl, right?
yeah. Um, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say you could just wrap anything. It's a little more complicated than that. There's a lot of thought and planning that has to go into the
Right.
graphics that you want to put on certain areas. But yeah, more or less, you can brand almost anything.
And that a lot of people they come up and they also think it's like, oh, it's just a quick job just to wrap around it. They don't think of all like how if it's got like screws and nails or anything into it, you've either got to cut the vinyl out around that or vinyl over and it's gonna bubble up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We're looking at some of like the biggest challenges of vinyl because like I even just said, oh yeah, anything can be wrapped here, but more the challenges because you got to think about what like durability, how long it's going to last, peeling, if
yeah.
it's outside, if it's inside.
Exactly. So the way that the item is going to be used and the length of time that they're shooting for is major considerations before you just go ahead and spend the money to wrap something.
And if you're wrapping like the other day, you were doing the police boat. We do a lot, all the Alameda like police and fire department boats, and the big issue was we didn't know if it needed to be reflective or not, because if a lot of people, if you look fire department cars and police department cars, you'll notice that it's reflective, and there's a reason for that is because it's reflective vinyl, right?
Yeah. So reflective vinyl is different than all the other vinyls we use in that it actually has little teeny tiny glass beads embedded into the adhesive. So the reflective is actually in the adhesive, not in the vinyl. And what that means is that you can't really stretch that vinyl at all. Otherwise, you get big areas where there's just no reflective. And in the daytime, it might look fine, but at night, once you really shine the light on it, you're going to see all those dead spots.
Dead spots. So that's a lot of things to think about. So it's not just wrapping it with vinyl, it's wrapping what type of vinyl are you going to use with, like you said, the reflective vinyl. And I know I've helped Jorge, like I know it's really sticky too. Like it's not a forgiving vinyl. Like if you stick it down, it's pretty much down, right?
Yeah, yeah, that a lot of vinyls they have features where they have pressure sensitive adhesive, and 3M calls that control tack. Other companies like Avery, General Formulations, they have their own names for it, probably just for copyright reasons. But that means that you can almost float the vinyl into place. Like it'll be touching whatever you're putting it on, but it won't stick until you really press down on it.
Right.
And that's the pressure sensitive adhesive.
And some of it's like heat activated too, right? Where you have to use the heat gun or you use the heat to remove it.
Yeah, so some of them do have heat activated adhesives, and those are more specialty vinyls. And I'm not sure 3M really, which is our we mostly use 3M.
Right.
I'm not sure they really have many heat activated films, but that doesn't mean it's not going to stick without heat. It just means that once everything's down and been squeegeed and it's in place, you want to heat everything just so it really uh kind of cures to whatever object you're
Right.
putting it on.
Now, I got a question. A lot of before I worked here, I just thought if you had a window and you needed it to be darkened or you wanted privacy, you would tint the window. Now working here, we do what is etched vinyl. We put a lot of etched vinyl on windows for like privacy, security reasons, and it works the same thing. What do you think is better, etched vinyl or tinting the window?
Well, they're similar in that they both offer privacy, but they're also pretty different in that the etch vinyl, it's not really see-through at all. So that's gonna be it allows light to pass through it. So it's if you put etch vinyl over all your windows, it's not like the room's gonna be dark,
Right.
but you're not gonna be able to see anything through it. Whereas tint, if you put that on, someone really wants to look through it, they're gonna be able to look through. And so it's a little bit different in its uses, but they both offer privacy. And I would say etch vinyl is much better for office type situations where you want privacy, um, so that you're not gonna no one's gonna look through, but you still want it to be a nice light, bright area.
Right. Like I had the client last week, and they had for the longest time in the offices that just all the interior windows were like the tinted glass and then they wanted more privacy than that, and that's where you went and installed the etched vinyl on top of the tinted glass.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can put etched vinyl onto tinted windows and have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and then no lights coming in, no privacy, or 100% privacy and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And then, so another thing is we do boat letterings a lot. You install boats. You just did a transom wrap last week. That was really cool. So we get a lot of people asking that. What is the biggest challenge with vinyl and boats? I mean, the lettering is good, but it's not.
Well, yeah, durability is a tough thing on boats in the saltwater environment. The salt water is really corrosive, and that can just kind of wear away at the vinyl over time. So there is certain vinyls that we use for boats whenever we can. Orifol 651 is pretty good. It's pre-colored, and so you don't have to print on it. The vinyl itself is colored,
Right.
which allows a little more durability over time in the sun and the salt water.
It's just when like the transom wrap you did, that client wanted a special design on top of the vinyl, so we couldn't do the pre-colored vinyl. We had to do our blank white canvas kind of vinyl that we printed the graphic on. So
Yes, and the only caveat with that is that we told that as soon as it's on, we don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's kind of up to how well you take care of it and how you use the boat from here on out.
right,
Because, if he's out there every day in heavy surf and winds blowing, sun's being down, it's definitely not gonna last as long as if he keeps it covered, and really takes care of it.
right. So anyone, all the boat owners out there, these are things you need to think about. What matters the most? How good is it going to look, or how long is it going to last? Because it can look good for about a month, or it can last, a year or so with just like kind of a plain Jane, just lettering on there.
Yeah, yeah. So like the classic boat name and port cities that we do. That's usually what we do when we're talking about boats. Earlier we talked about wrapping the whole boat, talking about the transom wrap, but the majority boats we do are all just, the boat name and the port name, and that's all generally the pre-colored vinyl that is a little more durable.
Right.
And y those usually last a good 8 to 10 years at a minimum.
And what's your favorite thing to install vinyl on? Do you enjoy like windows, walls, cars, boats? You do it all here. So,
Yeah, I would say,
or do you like the
um,
crazy odd jobs like the CAT scans and the robots and
no,
the sewing machines?
those are interesting for sure, but they can be frustrating. I think the most rewarding thing for me is wall murals, interior wall murals, because you can get a lot of vinyl up in a short amount of time. And it's just the effect that it has with without having to spend a ton of time working on teeny tiny little details. It's great.
Right.
And you can transform a huge space in short amount of time just with wall murals.
Exactly. So and wall mural is kind of like this, like putting up wallpaper, right?
Yeah, it's similar to old school wallpaper, except for that it's we do all custom prints. So, you know, usually older wallpaper is, kind of a repeating pattern that comes off of a roll. What we do is a lot more custom, and also old school wallpaper is generally pasted up. So you have to put glue on the back of the wallpaper, put glue on the wall, and then put it up on the wall, squeeze out all the extra glue. That what our self-adhesive wallpaper allows us to do is just it's like a big giant sticker. You peel the backer off, you put it up on the wall, and the only tough part really is making sure that all the panels align with each other.
Right.
That takes a little bit of work and experience, but once you get the hang of it, we can really go quick on it.
Exactly. Oh, and then another a thing here, if anyone's listening, you want to do, yeah, with multiple windows, but you want to have one graphic across all the windows. It's good to take into account what's like the bevels or what's in between there, because that's going to break off your image, and
Yeah.
and it's things like that, like you were talking about lining up there. So that's an important thing. It's just not slicing and dicing and throwing it up there.
Yeah, and it really depends on the design. Certs can be much easier compared to something that's really complicated and has a lot of, lines going in different directions or photos with lots of detail. Those can be tough to line up.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Louis. You have given us quite some good insight on vinyl now, and hopefully our listeners, when they need place an order, they have a little more insight, know what they need to ask for, need to look for.
Yeah, thank you for having me on today.
All right, folks. Well, this has been another episode. We'll see you next time.